Western Montana. KKVU HD3 Stevensville. It's 4 o'clock. Welcome to Tootell and Nuanez, Montana's only statewide sports talk show. Broadcast on 102.9 ESPN radio for Western Montana and across the state on SWX television.
I like football!
Now, sports talk from Montana for Montana. Live from the Kurtz Polaris studio, here is Ryan Tootell and Coulter Nuanez.
Hello, Montana. Boys and girls, happy 4th of July weekend. Huh? You kidding me? It's a Thursday. Tomorrow is the nationwide day off of the celebration. Saturday, the day itself. Man, it feels good. It feels good, doesn't it? Hope you are well. Thanks for being with us. It's Tootell Nuanez, 102.9 ESPN Radio, SWX Montana Television across the great state. And wherever you are, if you're around on the World Wide Web, you can get us there as well. 1029ESPN.com. You listen live all the time on the stream, thanks to our friends at Opportunity Bank. Opportunity Bank, your local bank, your opportunity. If you want to give us a shout, today is your day, man. Give us a shout. Talk to us. We open up the field to you. We got several things to get through. We got a great interview, which we'll get to as well. But if you want to participate today, you're stuck in traffic, all that kind of stuff. Hands-free, boys and girls in the city of Missoula, okay? But give us a call, 361-3688, 361-3688. We will take your calls throughout the course of the day. Today, all guests join us via the Rangish Brothers RV phone line. Today in the show, Coulter received his Big Sky Conference football preseason ranking sheet that he has to fill out as a voting member of the media. The preseason rankings are going to come out for the Big Sky Conference in about 3 weeks at the Big Sky Media Days, which will be virtually held this year. And so you got to fill that out. So he said, hey, let's sit down and let's do it. We're not putting this together. This isn't going to be your necessarily final official thing. You got some more research to do, but since this is something that's here to be done, well, let's do it. Let's have a little bit of fun. So we will do that. We'll get into a little bit of NAIA stuff, the new regulations coming down at that level of football. It's interesting to see how the different stratifications of divisions are handling the season, the upcoming season, the preparation for the season, and what are the things that they're being required to do, the things that need to happen in order to, make the season come off. Found an interesting tidbit today. The NFL, we know that they're probably reducing the preseason by 2 games. They also may well reduce the number of players they have in camp. Normally, it's a 90-player camp. The discussion is that they're expecting camp to be reduced by between 10 and 15 players to between 75 and 80. But they're expanding, likely, the practice squads for teams. And so it's an interesting give and take, especially for a lot of folks out of the FCS, right? Those bubble guys that are trying to make a squad. What does it mean to, not have, the full 90, person roster there or fall camp, spring camp, what is it? Summer camp? Okay, there we are. But then to have a practice squad that's bigger, and then, who knows how that goes. Top of the hour, speaking of the NFL, very excited to welcome Mike Person to the show. Mike Person, a 9-year NFL veteran, an All-American out of Montana State. He played in the most recent football game that there was to be played, also known as the Super Bowl, boys and girls. He just retired 48 hours ago, decided to call it a career after 9 seasons, finishing with the team that he started with, which was the San Francisco 49ers. Spent time all over the place, Indy, Seattle, a bunch of other places as well in the course of his career. But talk about a guy, talk about perseverance and making a stalwart career in terms of duration and contracts and all the things that he earned. Excited to have him on. So there you go. That is our show here today on a Thursday afternoon, the last day before the holiday, before the vacay. It's nice to back up a holiday and a vacation right after each other. You know what I mean?
Even like Don King, or Floyd Mayweather promoting this thing.
It's easy to think that I don't like this place.
This is the most excited I've ever been for a vacation, and it's all because of you.
I'm glad that we could pump it up. Speaking of, You're out there, you're driving around, you're getting out of town. Now take care of each other out there. Take it easy. The longer you sit in traffic, the longer you get to listen to Coulter and me, so it's all good. But it's hot. Maybe you're getting a little afternoon drowsiness. Maybe you just need a little refresher. Boys and girls, the Florence Coffee Company is where you got to go right now. There's a kiosk nearby you as you sit here listening to us. I went there this afternoon. Coulter got you an iced Americano.
Very thoughtful.
Your standard. For me today, didn't even go the caffeine route. Huckleberry smoothies, buddy. Huckleberry. I mean,
healthy.
The taste of the state, right?
Is that the most Montana thing? Huckleberries?
It's we should have a what's the most Montana thing ranking.
Yeah.
And go through some of the stuff.
Yeah.
Huckleberry is going to be high on the list. I
don't know. Do huckleberries grow anywhere else besides Montana and like northern Idaho?
Here's the thing that I think is funny is that all the things that I would consider to be pretty strictly Montana are also pretty strictly Alaska. I gotta believe there's I bet there's huckleberries the size of your thumb in Alaska,
at least
right?
something akin to a huckleberry, certainly. Let's ask your brother. He's up there right now.
We should ask. He is on the pond. However.
Yeah, he's not really.
He won't be picking
huckleberries
up there in Alaska. But in any case, this is fantastic. Very, very tasty. It's the 4th of July weekend. Get it started off the right way. Go to the Florence Coffee Company. Get yourself a Florence Coffee Company coffee, a tea, an iced tea, or a huckleberry smoothie like I'm enjoying right now, and you will feel very, very good about your state of affairs. I promise you that. Coulter, set it up for us, my man.
Well, it's crazy because it's only July 2nd, but it is that time of year. Our Big Sky Conference media polls were sent out yesterday, and they're due next week on the 8th, and then we'll have the Big Sky kickoff virtually here in a couple weeks, like you mentioned. But I always think this kind of stuff is fun. But as anybody that listens to this show or follows SkylineSportsMT.com, when it comes to the polls, I probably take it a little too seriously, but that's only because I just find it really fun. And it's also just an entry point to doing all the research I need to do anyways. So a lot of people they say, oh, okay, here's how everybody finished last year. Here's who's got good coaches. Here's who's got good quarterbacks. And they just fill out their poll real quick. Because the Big Sky plays an unbalanced schedule, so much of where you're going to finish has to do with the games you play and the games you don't play. So I go through and score out every single game and then make my standings based on that. And so I wanted to do just a segment, though. I haven't done that yet. I've not put pencil to paper. I've not dived into this thing whatsoever. I just wanted to do a segment just off the top of your head. What do you think of just the way the Big Sky is going? And it was kind of spurred on because I always find just the discourse about this very fun, and because the polls came out yesterday, they landed in the media inbox. I got texts from a lot of different colleagues, SIDs and fellow sports writers around the region, around the conference, say, well, what do you think? I mean, how are you picking the league? And I always tease them. I say, this is a multiple day exercise for me,
right?
but just off the top of my head. But then I was thinking then I started thinking actually just about the league, and I think that the league this year has an unbelievable dynamic that I don't think that we've actually talked about. We've talked extensively about the uncertain quarterback situations at both Montana and Montana State. I've never seen the league like it is right now. With the exception of Eric Berrier at Eastern Washington,
nobody.
There's no stability.
None. With the departure of Kevin Thompson, the graduation of Case Cookus, it's the departure even of Jake Constantine at Weber State.
So here's all the guys that are gone. You remember, Dalton Snead was, in my opinion, one of probably the 6 or 8 best quarterbacks in the country last year.
Right.
Before he was hurt.
Totally.
And even after he came back, he's lights out. He's a pro. He's playing for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
Pro.
He's honorable mention all conference. That's how good the quarterback play in the league was last year. Your first team all-league quarterback, Case Cookus, plays for the New York Giants. Your second team all-league quarterback, Jake Mayer, he was a multiple-time league MVP at UC Davis. He's gone. Jacob Knipp got into an NFL camp at Northern Colorado. Kevin Thompson was the offensive player of the year in the league. He grad transfers to Washington. But then you also had Chris Helbig, who was the starter most of the year at Southern Utah. He grad transferred to Eastern Michigan, of all places. Jake Constantine grad transferred to Towson. Mason Petrino, multi-year starter at Idaho. I know he took a lot of heat, but he still had a ton of game experience. He's gone at Idaho. And then obviously you have Dalton Snead. And then even though Montana State has a guy coming back in Tucker Rovig who's started a couple games 2 years ago and all the games last year besides the first couple.
All the conference games.
All the conference games and the playoff games. You still have a quarterback competition there. And then the other factor is 9 of these schools brought in transfers. Most of them from the FBS ranks, too. So, I mean, you got Eric Berrier and Davis Alexander at Portland State, who actually I think is one of the most underrated players in the league. Those are the only 2 real solidified guys. I mean, Jalen Hamler's been the starter at Cal Poly for a couple of years, but he's a triple option quarterback. How's that going to work with Bo Baldwin's offense? Who knows? Matt Struck was the starter at Idaho State last year. He was outstanding when they were hanging 55 on North Dakota, and then the worst ever. I've never seen a guy throw so many pick sixes. He got the yips, the pick six style of the yips. I've never seen that. I've never seen that before. He threw 6 pick sixes last year. I've never seen that before in my life.
And he did it in like 4 games. In fact, he did it in about 4 quarters.
Like when they got routed by Idaho, and Idaho scored 3 defensive touchdowns. It was a spectacle like I've never seen before.
Here's my question for you, Coulter. It's a question of philosophy to some extent.
Sure.
I love the way that you do this, in terms of, especially with the unbalanced scenario going through game by game. But also, it has the potential to deliver to you a conference champion that you don't actually believe is the, quote, best team in the conference.
Right.
So how do you go about assessing what you believe to be the best or the best couple of teams over and against what you think the actual outcome of a schedule where you play about half the teams in the conference?
Well, it's been super interesting in the league the last 2 years, too, because we've talked about this narrative a lot. When the league first expanded, it made the entire league so wide open. Back in 2012, when they added 4 teams, because of the unbalanced schedule, it made a lot of different areas of the league muddled, but it also let some teams rise up because of some of the unique advantages that they were able to maximize. So you saw Cal Poly share the league title the first year in the league. You saw Southern Utah go on their little run where they won 2 league titles in 3 years and made the playoffs 3 out of 4 years. But now that it's kind of readjusted to the, quote, blue bloods of the league, quote unquote, being the premier teams, now the last 2 years you've seen the league championship hasn't been of that much consequence, because if you're finishing 3rd in the Big Sky, you're still getting the 6th seed in the playoffs. Montana finished 4th in the league last year. They got the 7th seed in the playoffs. Right. So picking who actually is going to win the championship, it's not as big a consequence, because when in the league, I mean, if you're in the mix, if you're in that 2-loss or 1-loss mix, you're going to be absolutely a playoff team and likely get a first-round bye.
One thing that I think is worth noting, we talk about the wide-open nature of this league regularly, but once again, 13 teams playing football in the Big Sky Conference last year. North Dakota then, leaving, but then Idaho coming in, right? So
right.
Nobody, as we know, went undefeated.
Right.
Nobody won less than 2 games.
Right.
So it is remarkable, like in a 13-team league with an unbalanced schedule where you only play, 8 conference games in a season.
Right.
The fact that that there was no team that went undefeated, I would, if you were to tell me, okay, just this scenario, not knowing the teams, the conference, anything, I would say I'll bet 2 teams go 0 for
defeated. Right.
Not only did that not happen, no team went just with 1 win.
Right.
Now, the funny thing is 5 teams were 2-6.
Right.
And so the bottom was definitely tiered. No team, by the way, for what it's worth, was 4-4. You were either above 500 or below it. That was the separation line.
Well, take Idaho State, for example. Idaho State came into the year with, I think they were 26th in the first preseason poll, right outside the top 25.
Right.
They had one of the most talented offenses in the league. I mean, the 2 best pair of receivers that had the most accolades coming into last year were not Samari Torre and Sammy Akim. It was Mitch Guller and Mikey Dean. And, they still had Ty Flanagan, the great running back. They had a good offensive line. And then the conference opener, they go hang 41 points on Portland State in the first half, hang 55 on them. 2 weeks later, they hang 55 on North Dakota. They're 2-1 in the league. You're like, wow, Idaho State. They come to Missoula, they get destroyed on homecoming, and it's all downhill from there. They never Robbie Hauk's backside hit on Matt Struck, Matt Struck was never the same. He was never the same for the whole rest of the year. But that shows you how at one point you could be really good and at another point you couldn't. And think about Portland State. They go to Pocatello and get destroyed, and then by the end of the year, they were actually playing like a top half of the league team. They ended up winning, I think, 4, maybe even 5 league games. So navigating the season is so interesting.
Would you say that Hauk struck? All day long, man. I'm here for it.
Yeah, I mean, you're on fire.
It's Tootell, Nuanez, 102.9 ESPN Radio. Okay, I don't think I even shut up in time to let you answer the question. Straight up, if you got teams that could be teams that you believe to be better than teams that you believe will win the conference because of the scheduling, though, is that correct?
Right. And so then, I mean, like a couple years ago, for example, Montana State had that brutal schedule where they had to play all the top teams. But then, like last year, the Cats got to dodge several of the top teams. They didn't have to play Weber State. They didn't have to play Eastern Washington. So, just spitballing off the top of my head, here's a couple things that I think are pretty solidified no matter what I put pencil to paper in.
Okay.
For a long time, this has been a quarterback league, and traditionally, you pick the team with the best returning quarterback to win the league in the preseason poll. I'm not picking Eastern Washington to win the league. I think that Eric Berry is a great player. I think they misused him a lot last year. I mean, you can look at the stats. To me, the stats are empty. I mean, they led the country in total offense last year. He had a 28-4 touchdown to interception ratio. But they never got him outside the pocket and let him do what he does best, which is run the RPO and get on the perimeter and use his legs. They relegated him to be a pocket passer, and he completed a high percentage of his passes, and they gained a bunch of yards, but they didn't make the playoffs, so who cares? And, I mean, the only time I got to see him up close and in person was against Montana, and I thought Montana dominated that game from start to finish. I mean, with Cam Humphrey at the helm, Montana played some ball control stuff, but they out-toughed Eastern Washington. I mean, they played a more physical brand of football. So that's one narrative that I'm not buying into this year. Top quarterback returning does not necessarily mean inside track to league championship. Because there's so much uncertainty and so many new faces at quarterback in the league, the other thing that I'm just not going to rest on anymore is twofold. One, the quality of the coach that you got at the helm and the momentum he's been able to create within the scope of your program. And I think that the 3 teams that have the most momentum because of the coach that they have at the helm are Weber State with Jay Hill, Montana with Bobby Hauk, Montana State with Jeff Choate.
So but you said you're not going to rest on that, or you are?
No, I am. I am resting on that for sure.
Yeah.
And the last one I'm going to rest on is that Weber State is the least sexy team in the country. Even less sexy than North Dakota State. Because North Dakota State always has an NFL prospect at quarterback, and they have this mystique and this allure because of all the winning. Weber State never thrills you because their offense is just vanilla. They're intent and satisfied to be 10th or 11th in the league in every offensive category. Don't care. Because they're just going to beat you up on defense. They're going to destroy you on special teams. And so every year, I always vote Weber State 1 or 2. The last 3 years, I voted Weber State 1 or 2 in the polls. Guess what? Weber State is the 3-time defending Big Sky Conference champions. Mm-hmm. We get in arguments at the Big Sky kickoff every year. Everybody's like, why are you voting Weber? Weber's overrated. Weber doesn't have a quarterback. It doesn't matter. They made it to the semifinals last year without having a quarterback. Mm-hmm. That Jay Hill has the program rolling. They reload. It doesn't matter who they lose. 2 years ago, they lost 2 NFL D linemen. What happened this last year? 2 more NFL D linemen. That's just where they're at. And so if you were to ask me to just spitball and who am I going to pick to win the league, I'm picking Weber State because they got Randall Johnson, who by all accounts is not the game manager Jake Constantine is. He's not Caden Jenks. He's not even Stephen Cantwell. He's a much more athletic, big, strong, and explosive version of not even version. He's a really good player. He's a transfer from Middle Tennessee State. He's got a lot of accolades. I mean, he went to Reedley College, which is a junior college. In junior college, he threw for 2,800 yards and 28 touchdowns and also rushed for 800 yards and 14 more touchdowns. He's the Gold West Conference Offensive Player of the Year, which that's a great junior college league. If Weber State takes the next step with their quarterback, I have full confidence in everything else that they got because I think Jay Hill's that good.
You and I both think very highly of Jay Hill. Last year, when they came to Missoula, got pounded as the number 3 team, and they didn't just lose on the scoreboard. I mean, they were embarrassed and out physicaled, which doesn't happen to Weber State very often.
Totally.
And it was
also a product of the shock up to confidence when some of your best players get hurt.
No doubt.
Dante Olson lit Josh Davis up on the very first play of the game. He's out. That's your All-American. That is your offense. He's out. David Ames got hurt. The tight end got hurt. I mean, they had multiple guys go down. But no excuses. Montana was the one putting those guys on the sideline.
In instances that is the case, any coach will say the right thing in a situation like that, which, if you'll recall, was 1 week before the start of the postseason. And that is, we hope that we get to see these guys again, whatever. Jay Hill was dreaming
totally
about the rematch and planted that seed. I mean, after the polls came out, or excuse me, the postseason bracket came out. I don't know who they played in the first round, and Jay Hill didn't care. He goes, 2 weeks, we got the Grizzlies.
I mean, yeah, he said
let's go
in the interview.
And,
exactly.
And so,
well, it's like he said on this show as well earlier this spring. He said that you can talk about games being played on paper, who's got better personnel, all that stuff. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, your kids got to go perform. And he said, in Missoula, no excuses. They played great. They whipped our butts. But that was the worst game this program has played in 3 years. Yeah. And we had to get another shot.
And I guess, but the point is, when you see a team like Montana play at their peak, which they did against Weber, you can say you want them again, but I think that in their heart of hearts, there's a lot of coaches and, frankly, a lot of players who would say, we don't really want them again.
Right.
Not Weber State, not Jay Hill. They want everybody, and I think that's the mentality that you have to have, and you have to have it honestly. It can't just be, well, that's because what you do as a football team is you line it up and you go play. You have to believe that the other team has no idea what you have in store for them in every facet every week, and his is a program that demonstrates that.
I mean, the roller coaster of analysis during November last year was so interesting because – yeah, I mean, you'll get my back on this. Going into the Weber State game, I was sitting there on the pregame show saying, I can smell it in the air. Montana's going to kill Weber State.
You did.
I could tell.
Go to the tape.
Because I went to practice all week. You could see it, It's like Kane Ione says, when guys have slits in their eyes, they're hyper-focused. You could see it in the way they were practicing, and then they went out and executed it, and they destroyed Weber State. But it was such a shocking roller coaster of our own analysis because then the Grizzlies the next week go to Bozeman and get destroyed. I mean, get stomped. And so then we're sitting there thinking, is Montana State the best team in the country?
Right.
Like, if Montana can dismantle the number 3 team in the league and then the number 3 team in the country, the next week turn around and lose 48-14, how good are the Cats?
Right.
But also it just shows you the way that you can have letdowns. I mean, it was the last home game for Montana, regular season home game against Weber State, so they're up for it. I mean, Weber was not prepared for the RTD of Bobby Houck. Like, those guys had not faced Washington. It played at Washington Grizzly Stadium when it was like that. Mm-hmm. But it just shows you the various factors, but also just comes down to performing well as well. But
also, though, I mean, and we give Weber State a ton of credit. They played a great game, particularly defensively, against Montana in that playoff game. You ask any Montana football player, coach, etc., they think that game is theirs all day long. They think they outplayed Weber State in every way. Dalton had a bad game. I mean, he just flat out. There's no way to sugarcoat it. It was an unfortunate day to have one of your worst games as a college football player, and he had that. That's the way it goes. And then obviously one bad play on special teams, and that's the difference maker right there. So even with getting up to play the Grizzlies were ready to go in that football game, and certainly think that they have good reason to believe that they should have been in the Final Four as well, right?
So let me ask you this. So I obviously have not been down to Ogden to watch spring football, but by all accounts, I mean, our guy Brett Hine, who's a friend of the show, he says that the returns on Randall Johnson are very good. And as we know, last year, Weber State, they actually had great offensive personnel around Jake Constantine. I wasn't surprised when he left because Jay Hill has been so hard on him. And I don't think he was the guy to get him over the top. But as we know, they do lose some guys on the D-line, but they have everybody back in the secondary, everybody back in linebackers.
Rashid Shaheed.
Rashid Shaheed is the best returner in the country. So you're on the same page as me. Weber State's an inside track to a playoffs at least, right?
The playoffs?
Yeah.
I mean, book it.
Right.
Book it.
Right.
Yeah,
I mean, they're inside track to the conference championship, right?
Come on. Yeah. Play it. Here's the thing. It's so much harder, so very much harder to win a Big Sky Conference title than to go to the playoffs.
No doubt.
I mean, the playoffs are I'm not going to say it's a low bar, but at the FCS level, like, all you have to be is good to be in the playoffs. You don't have to be better than that.
Well, and in the Big Sky, all you got to be is somewhere around the top 5. I mean, we could see a year where a 5th team gets in, but at least 4. And a 4th can get you a seed. Okay, but so despite the loss of Dante Olson, despite the loss of Dalton Sneed, you agree that Montana has an inside track on one of those top 4 spots as well, right?
100%.
And despite the presumptive loss of Troy Anderson, despite the loss of guys like Bryce Sturkin, Derek Marks, Braden Conkle, you think Montana State is there as well?
Yes, I do.
I agree. So there's 3, and those are the big 3. And I think that those 3 deserve it. 4th, though, Sac State, no more Kevin Thompson. They lose some studs, including George Obina on defense. Eastern Washington, just to analyze the overall trajectory of the program, it has not been great since the peak of year 2 under Aaron Best. I don't really know what to think of Eastern. Cal Poly, who knows where they're going to be at with a new head coach. Idaho, I mean, is the albatross of Coach Petrino's son not playing quarterback going to be something that actually helps Idaho? Where are we at, though, with the rest of the league? I mean, who in your mind is the front runner for that 4th spot?
Well, it's a great question. I was going to ask this exact same question in another way, which is every single year there's one team that is so much better than you ever thought that they were going to be, and who's that team going to be this year is the nature of that question.
I know the answer to that question.
Well, then you know the answer to the question you're asking me then.
Portland State is my team that's going to be a lot better than people think.
I agree, and I don't think it's crazy to think that Portland State could be that 4th team.
I think they have the second best returning quarterback in the league in Davis Alexander. I think he's tough as nails.
Because he's one of 2 returning quarterbacks in the league.
Well, you got to give Tucker Rovig a little bit of credit there.
Of course, I'm playing.
But
I mean, here's the thing.
But also Portland State they're good on the lines, and they got a bunch of running backs, and like Barney has done a good job. Bruce Barnum's done a good job recruiting.
You give me Bo Baldwin at Cal Poly, you give me Ed McCaffrey at Northern Colorado, and I go, well, yeah. I mean, I think those 2 guys are probably got it all day long at the places that they are, but not this season, not this year when you're changing an entire offense and you're a brand new, you're a brand new football coach at the college level for Ed McCaffrey, and you're doing it sight unseen because of everything that's been going on. Right. So I just think the task of trying to overhaul a program it's a massive one anyway. It's usually a multi-year deal anyway. And now all of a sudden, I don't think it's possible. Here's the one team that I think it could really jump up and scare some teams and all of a sudden actually be a lot better than people think. That's Northern Arizona.
Interesting.
We thought they could be pretty good last year with Case Cookus playing his 11th season of college football or whatever it was, and a great football player, and they were a disaster.
I mean, they couldn't have been worse on defense, man.
Couldn't have been worse. And Chris Ball comes in as the defensive coordinator out of Memphis, heralded for that side of the ball.
I mean, they were up 3 touchdowns in Bozeman in the second half, and Montana State came all the way back without throwing the ball. Montana State ran the ball 26 times to come all the way back and beat them. Then the next week, NAU goes out and gives up 308 rushing yards to one guy, to Josh Davis.
It's completely embarrassing, man. It's embarrassing what Northern Arizona was last year. Why do I pick? And by the way, I'm not sitting here, I'm not opening up an offshore account to ride it on the Lumberjacks, okay? But if you dig a little deeper and you start to, if you want to paint the sunny picture for Northern Arizona, it's this: Chris Ball, when he got there, ultimately decided that what needed to happen was a change of culture, perhaps not entirely different from what has happened and is happening at the University of Montana.
But it's a totally different deal when the guy whose culture it is has been in place since the 90s.
Yes, a very difficult thing to do. But he had departures. He had guys quit mid-season. He had
multiple starters.
Bunch of guys completely injured.
I mean, their best defensive player, Jalen Gross, left the team the week before conference play started.
Like, it just ain't going to happen. And Now, that it could be a bad sign when you say, well, maybe Chris Ball just has no idea like how to ingratiate himself with a bunch of players. Maybe that's the case. Or maybe it was the purge that he felt was necessary in order to get this team to where they should go. Now, if it is that level of a purge, probably this ain't the year also where they're all of a sudden going to bounce back. But if all of a sudden he's able to put his stamp on something and there's a level of toughness into that, like you said, in a league where there's very little quarterback stability.
Right.
There's a lot of open questions to be answered, and a lot of what's going to get this done is A, defense, and B, something like desire, something like energy, the toughness that week in and week out you have to have. And if he's able to cultivate that after overhauling everything that happened, I think you could see a swing. So there would be a dark horse for me to keep an eye on.
On the quarterback note, Keandre Wiltie is their Oklahoma State transfer. That's one of the bigger transfers in the league in terms of they're really going to rely on him.
Right.
Because they basically recruited him to replace a sixth-year starter.
It's Tootell and Nuanez, 102.9 ESPN Radio. At the end of the day,
the other
Wildcats, Bobcats, and Grizzlies, right?
Yeah. The other guy, I think that NAU and Cal Poly are the two teams that it hinges on their quarterbacks that they brought in, because Bo Baldwin's going to need a dude to run his system. But Bo Baldwin brought in Hunter Rackett, who was one of the best junior college quarterbacks in the state of California last year. He was a guy that I think Baldwin had the inside track on to go to Cal, and they convinced him to come build it around him. If you'd believe that a quarterback, that at this level you can build around a quarterback, and look what Sac State did last year. They built it around a quarterback, and they won their first league title in school history.
Yep.
But if Woodtie, the Oklahoma State transfer at NAU, or Rackett, the junior college transfer at Cal Poly, if those guys just go off, those teams could be like a 5-3 in league and be that fourth team.
The other thing, the team that dropped out of all of this is Sacramento State because of Kevin Thompson's departure, and it's a huge loss. Don't kid yourself.
Sure. But who does Troy Taylor have right in the wings? Because you know he has a good high school guy.
Well, and the other thing is just look at what Troy Taylor did. Like, it wasn't just Kevin Thompson.
100%.
It was the scheme. It was everything. Well, he did a great job. He has huge credentials outside of Division I college football, played in the league. So, I mean, it certainly could be Sacramento State still, just because Kevin Thompson left. You know, everybody goes, well, that's that for Sacramento State. Well, no, it's not.
I mean, you have to believe that Troy Taylor has a stud California freshman
somewhere
stashed,
right? Yeah. He knows everybody.
But he also they had returned 10 starters on offense besides Kevin Thompson. That was why they were going to be so scared. Yes. They had everybody back. They still got Elijah Dotson. They still got Pierre Williams. They got some of the best skill guys in the league.
I hope Kevin Thompson starts at Washington.
Man, it's going to be so disappointing
if he doesn't start at Washington. What a disappointing thing for football, man.
Because he could have come and won the Peyton this year.
Totally. It's Tootell Nuanez, 102.9 ESPN Radio. Boys and girls, it's a long weekend, and we mean that in a good sense. You want to fill up some time, looking for something to do, go to Canyon River Golf Club over there in East Missoula. Canyon River is spectacular. Coulter and we've spent a little time out there at Canyon, and we can say firsthand, it's in as good a shape as I've seen. I mean, it's always in great shape, but it is perfect.
Greens are rolling better than anywhere. Any time I've ever played there. I've been playing there since even my first stint in Missoula when it first opened more than a decade ago. And it's the best the greens have ever been. They're rolling beautifully. The course is in immaculate shape. It's an awesome course.
If you go online, CanyonRiverGolfClub.com, you can book tee times online. You can also save money booking tee times online. They got some hot deals on there. You can see all the tee times that are available, the costs, the cost, the prices, etc. You get on there, CanyonRiverGolfClub.com. You book today, but go out and enjoy around in East Missoula along the Clark Fork River. I guess, is it the Blackfoot that's rolling through there? I got to look back. No, it's the Clark Fork. They converge prior to east to Canyon River. Okay, good. Now we got our water in order. The mountains, beautiful, sunshine. It's a long weekend, like I said. Celebrate and enjoy a little space, some fun, a challenge, and one of the most beautiful golf courses that Montana has to offer. Canyon River, online at CanyonRiverGolfClub.com. Summer is here, so get out of the house and play some golf at the picturesque Canyon River Golf Club. Canyon River boasts a pristine 18-hole championship golf course sitting along the Clark Fork River in the beautiful mountain valley of East Missoula. The course is meticulously manicured and in perfect shape to give you the challenge and fun you're looking for. Visit CanyonRiverGolfClub.com to book your tee time online and save big all season. You've been cooped up, so get out and play at Canyon River Golf Club.
Florence Coffee Company believes in bringing you the best this summer with real fruit puree and our cool and refreshing drinks, like a Bellini soda made with real fruit puree and soda water, or a matcha bliss smoothie with the intensity of matcha green tea blended with a variety of fruit flavors like strawberry, mixed berry, peach, mango, or banana. Stop by any of our locations across western Montana for a refreshing summer drink today.
Florence Coffee Company.
Yes, Polaris is open. The great outdoors are wide open, so why not make the most of it during the Polaris Summer Sales event? Take the family on a cross-country adventure with Polaris General, the world's most comfortable, most powerful sports utility machines. Kick up some dust in a Razor, the off-road's most thrilling performance side-by-sides. Grab the bars of a legendary Sportsman ATV and discover the freedom of unstoppable performance. Or get more done between your fence lines with Ranger, America's favorite off-road workhorse. There's never been a better time to say yes to outdoor adventure. Enjoy rebates up to $1,000 on the off-road's best during the Polaris Summer Sales event at Kurtz Polaris. Kurtz Polaris is at 2904 West Broadway in Missoula and Highway 83 in Sealy. Kurtz has all the best in off-roading with dirt bikes and side-by-sides, and now Kurtz has Crest pontoon boats in stock for the season. Summer is here at Kurtz Polaris, online at kurtzpolaris.com. Offers valid in U.S. on new 2016 through 2020 vehicles. Offer varied by model. See dealer for details. Always wear a helmet. Never drink and ride.
The world of real estate is always evolving. That's more true now than ever. If you are a longtime Missoulian that is looking to upgrade or downsize, it might be the best time yet to sell. If you are in the position to buy something new, today might be the best time to buy. And no matter what questions you have when it comes to residential or commercial real estate, Mike Nugent and the professionals at Berkshire Hathaway in Missoula have your answers. To find out what Mike can do for you, give him a call today, 531-1802. And remember, every question is good to ask.
The Star-Spangled 4th of July sale is on now at Bob Ward's. Celebrate Independence Day with great deals on sports and outdoors gear throughout the store. Bob Ward's is your summer fun headquarters. Check out the savings on tubes, stand-up paddleboards, kayaks and rafts, summer footwear, backpacks and camping gear, fishing, apparel, and accessories for 4th of July fun. Before you hit the road, trail, or lake this summer, gear up at Bob Ward's. Wishing you a safe and festive holiday. Bob Ward's, gear for adventures since 1917.
ESPN Missoula Sports Center.
Howdy, Ryan Tootell. Here's some sports news for you. Ryan Kuhn of the Helena Independent Record reports that the NAIA has released guidelines, recommendations that are relating to the start of the 2020 fall sports season. The document contains specifics about the return to play, health and safety recommendations, screening, testing, and spectators. The fall season can only happen if 50% of the participating NAIA institutions in each sport receive clearance from local authorities that would be safe to play.
All coaches and players will be screened each day before practice and are also required to be screened within 6 hours of kickoff on game day. Those with a temperature of greater than 100.4 degrees, medical history relating to common coronavirus symptoms, or any self-reported illness will be required to sit out. Also, if multiple players on a team are showing symptoms, the school will make the decision whether the team should be removed from playing. NAIA practicing for fall sports set to begin on August 15th.
And finally, sources are reporting that the NFL will reduce the preseason schedule by 2 games this year. The league, which already canceled the Hall of Fame game originally scheduled for August 8th, will now have just 2 preseason games in total, 1 home game, 1 away game for each franchise, and also possibly a reduction in the total number of players in team camps.
This ESPN Missoula Sports Center is brought to you by Aspen Sound.
Like the desert with bruises to gathers the cash when the music is through. No, she don't look back. I've come to look for America too. Then we stole the car.
Happy 4th of July. Almost. Weekend, celebration, all that. Hi, people.
Sweet GTO out there. That's what I'm looking at.
Far out, man.
Are you a car guy? Are you into cars?
Have you seen my cars?
Doesn't mean you couldn't be into them.
At Gus Tootell on Twitter, you will see no pictures of cars there. At 1029 ESPN and at Skyline Sports MT, if you are looking for us, you can go check us out on all of the social medias. We will be happy to hang out with you there. We appreciate that very much. Tootell and Nuanez, how are you? Hope you're well. If you're in your cars, just be patient. It's okay. It's all good. Sometimes you just got to woo-saw it a little bit. You know what I mean? Just let it go. Coulter, here's something I found today that I think is interesting I wanted to discuss with you. In an effort to combat, of course, the spread of the coronavirus, NFL teams reportedly are likely to bring in fewer than 90 players to training camp. The number that is being floated out there is somewhere between 75 and 80, so a reduction of 10 to 15 players. Now, it used to be 90, and then you would cut down to like 75, and then you would do a final cut to the 53-man roster. Now it's 90 all the way through if you wanted, and then you just cut it at the end.
It's only been 90, though, for about 10 years because it was 75. Like, that was the initial.
To start with, right?
Yeah.
I must say, to have almost double the number of players that you can actually have there, I mean, it just... I guess I understand to some extent why you would do that for depth at every position and to see multiple guys at every position.
It's also to take reps off of your franchise guys, too.
Sure, and that's fine, but, like, I mean, there's 30 guys that are walking in there that have a well under 1% chance of making the team, and teams kind of know that by and large.
Yeah, totally. I mean, if you watch Hard Knocks or you're a fan of Hard Knocks, you realize, I mean, there's guys that have such good camps that they really just don't have a chance. Like last year with the Raiders, Keelan Doss from UC Davis, he was a featured star on that show. I mean, granted, he's from Alameda, California, right up the street from Oakland.
Yep.
So there was a good, hometown feel there, and he caught a touchdown in, the Alameda Stadium when they played in his his actual hometown. So, I mean, it was kind of low-hanging fruit that they would follow him around. But also, I mean, there was all sorts of clips of John Gruden, giving them the attaboy and saying, keep doing what you're doing, and we really like you.
I like Keelan Doss.
Loves him. And then he was just cut promptly.
What'd you think about my Gruden?
It was
a little low.
Yeah. You gotta
I gotta
a little more of the twinge.
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess what I'm saying is that you can perform so well and if you were undrafted, it's so hard to make a team now.
The thing, though, here is the thing. The way you make a team is by competing, not surprisingly,
sure,
with that team where all of a sudden coaches go, oh, okay, because it's compared to everybody else, right? Like you can't just, it's not film A and film B and we look at the film and decide who's better. It's two guys standing up next to each other and guy A is consistently worse than guy B and guy B makes it. And you can't see that unless you're there. And so to have a whole bunch of guys
that aren't there,
that to me is it's a killer for. There's some guys whose NFL careers will have never gotten started that would have had a career because of this.
No doubt. And so much of it's proven it. Like the Keelan Doss scenario is a good one to analyze because, like the Raiders, they drafted Hunter Renfrow, right?
Yeah.
If Keelan Doss got the exact same snaps Hunter Renfrow got last year in real NFL games, he probably would have had the same stats. But you keep Hunter Renfrow because you drafted him and because he's from Clemson and he's got a lot more brand name recognition and all those little things. But neither of those guys play special teams. Hunter Renfrow can play him a little better, though, if you have to have him. But that's where guys are going to miss out, too, is the chance to be in number 75 through number 90, but then making a coach's head turn because you lit somebody up on a kickoff.
Yeah.
That's how these bottom of the roster guys make teams. It's always about special teams.
Here's the flip side of this, though. The NFL is also considering expanding practice squads to 16 to 20 players per team in the event of a coronavirus spike so that there's players that are on board already that can come and fill in if need be.
Yeah. Huge misnomer among NFL fans, I think. I think that NFL fans, when they think practice squad, they think of like a scout team, and it's like a full roster.
It's like 8 dudes, right?
No NFL team carries more than 7 guys on their practice squad, and it's more like 5.
Right. Yeah. So it's so very few. So here's my question for you: if you are a fringe, a bubble FCS guy, a Dante Olson trying to make the Philadelphia Eagles, Bryce Stirk, Tampa, trying to learn how to play tight end.
Miami. Travis Johnson's in Tampa.
My mistake.
Yeah.
It's Florida. It's a long ways away. You can't expect me to know all the names. Point being, is this a net win or a net loss? You don't have the numbers at camp in the first place, but you have a hugely expanded, I mean, to the tune of maybe triple or even potentially quadruple the number of players on the practice squad that a team could have. If you can make it on a practice squad, first of all, you've really done something to make a practice squad in general. But if you can be there and keep hanging around after everybody else has been let go, first of all, you're a professional. You are making a living playing the sport that you want to play in the NFL. So what's the give and take here to you?
It's bad because it's going to be impossible to make the practice squad if you're not in the camp.
Here's the key.
So even if, say they bring 75. And they're going to cut 22, but they can keep 20. They're probably going to just keep the guys that they cut, right? If you're not there, they're not going to just sign you to the practice squad when you haven't been in camp. So you got to get in that 75 somehow. And I don't know how you do that without OTAs and mini camps and the things that lead up to training camp.
The only way, first of all, I tend to agree with you. But the point is if you are in the camp, you just went from a huge long shot to make the team in some respect to almost expected to make the team in some respect.
Totally.
If they're only gonna if there's only gonna be, say, 5 guys in all of camp that aren't in some way going to be affiliated, whether it's active roster or practice squad, I mean you got a real shot at being there, and so that I would think would be a boost of some sort. And also it's worth noting if you in fact are on that practice squad. I'm with you though. How do you make the what is sort of an initial blind cut from 90 to 75, because they've already signed all their priority free agents.
Right.
I assume that all the teams right now are at 90 guys. After the draft and after the free agent signees, that they're maybe fluctuating a couple here or there, but roughly they're at 90. And so at some point they're going to have to, if this happens, they're going to go, well, sorry, things changed, and that's just what it's going to be. And I don't know what's going to, what'll happen at that point.
The putting together the puzzle of the non-starters and or key backups for an NFL roster, it's so fascinating. It has to be maddening. And I can't wait to talk to Mike Person about this in about 15 minutes, because sometimes it actually really has nothing to do with your performance. It just has to do with when you talk about a 53-man active roster, you're going to have your 22 starters plus your specialists. There's 25 guys, call it. Because a lot of teams carry just a long snapper specialist too. And so then you have and then you have 22 backups. So now there's your 47 guys. So you have 6 spots. Which 6 do they choose to build the puzzle out of? And a lot of times a team might, depending on what they run on offense, for example, they might choose to keep just 5 receivers, or they might choose to keep 8. They might choose to keep 8 offensive linemen, or maybe just 7. And you never know how it's going to fit. And sometimes it has nothing to do with you. I mean, I talked to Thatcher Slay about this extensively, former University of Montana offensive guard. And he said he got cut 3 different times, and every single time both the GM, the head coach, and the offensive line coach said if it was up to me, we would keep you. But there's one missing element here where we have to take a guy that's a receiver who could be a backup kick returner. We can't take a third guard. And sometimes it just works out like that. But then other times you can hit it and then you get in. And then like you're Mike Person and you're like the last day on the taxi squad you could have ever had. And then you get on the active roster and then you get a shot and then you get film. And then all of a sudden you went from your last week on a practice squad to playing in the Super Bowl 6 years later.
It's Tootell and Nuanez, 102.9 ESPN Radio. Quick break. As Coulter mentioned, Mike Person, now former NFL football player, retired earlier this week after a 9-season career in the league. All-American out of Montana State, going to join us at the top of the hour. Next, though, a couple of updates for you out of the NAIA ranks, how they're going to try and govern on a national level as it pertains to sports in the fall. Some of the things they're doing, we will detail that and see if maybe some of the other divisions can learn something from the NAIA. Boys and girls, it's the 4th of July. You want to get outside this weekend? Certainly. Maybe you want to get away a little bit, off-road. Maybe you want to get on the water. Whatever you want to do, here's what you need to do. You need to go to Kurtz Polaris. Kurtz Polaris is at 2904 West Broadway in Missoula, Highway 83 in Sealy. Now that it's warm, now that it's the weekend, now that it's the holiday, get a dirt bike, maybe a side-by-side, maybe a pontoon boat. They got all of them. Beta and Husqvarna dirt bikes, all top of the line. They're Polaris side-by-sides, the General, the Ranger, the Razor. They can have fun. They can get work done. They can tow things for you. They can go fast if you need them to, and they can get you anywhere. And also, on the lake. Are you kidding me? This is one I vote for. Give me a Crest pontoon boat. I'm into this. A life of leisure. It's what I'm about. I'm not ashamed to say that, and I would love to have a Crest pontoon boat from Kurtz. Again, go online. You can go to KurtzPolaris.com, see everything that they have in stock. Great deals, great values, and all top of the line all the time. Summer the way you always envision with Kurtz Polaris online. KurtzPolaris.com.
There's an old saying, a problem shared is a problem halved. The folks at Farmers State Bank know you have a lot on your plate right now and what kind of anxiety that can produce. Farmers State Bank has been helping Montanans since 1907. They are ready and willing to work with you during this challenging time. Call Farmers State Bank. They're here for you today and all your tomorrows. Farmers State Bank, your Montana bank since 1907. Member FDIC.
We've missed short drives to see friends, long drives to see family. We've missed road trips, car camping, heck, we've even missed commuting. We're grateful to be getting back on the road, and Les Schwab wants to help you drive safe, just like we always have. To help get you rolling again safely, we're happy to offer up to $110 off a set of 4 select tires. Les Schwab Tires. Doing the right thing matters. Limited time offer while supplies last. Actual discount amount depends on tire size and type. Cannot be combined with other offers. Details at leschwab.com.
Hello, Montanans. Times have been uncertain, but we here at the Montana Club have relished seeing how our communities have pulled together. We've been grateful to serve you delivery and takeout, which we will continue to do, and we are excited to announce that our dining room is open again. Thank you for supporting us during this time. We can't wait to see you and serve you all of your Montana Club favorites. As always, we are here for you. We are Montana. Welcome back to the club, the Montana Club, on Brooks and North Reserve, Missoula.
Wayne McElmurray knows what you can achieve through hard work as an athlete from a small town in Montana. The Troy native rose up to become an All-American safety for the Grizzlies on UM's 95 National Championship team before spending time playing in the NFL. McElmurray has also used those values in his work at McElmurray Homes. Since 2003, McElmurray Homes has helped contract and subcontract some of the Garden City's finest houses. McElmurray Homes is committed to offering quality custom service, quality products, and the best prices throughout any project. And McElmurray Homes is also a proud supporter of high school athletes around the state of Montana.
Mazda is making it worth your while to buy new and to buy now at Flanagan Motors Mazda. Through the close of business Monday, July 6th, buy any new in-stock 2020 Mazda CX-30, Mazda CX-5, or Mazda CX-9 at Flanagan Motors Mazda and receive the following with your good credit. No money down and zero interest for up to 63 months, plus your first payment won't be due for 3 months. In addition, everybody gets a rebate on a new Mazda of up to $2,500. We are open the 1st through the 3rd and closed Saturday the 4th and Sunday the 5th, then open Monday the 6th for the final day of Mazda's Independence Day sale. If you've already made plans for the holiday weekend, no problem. Shop online at FlanaganMotors.com. Use our online shopper tool to help you value your trade, estimate payments, and apply for financing. Call 721-1381 or stop by Flanagan Motors Mazda in Midtown Missoula. Stay safe, Missoula. Manage your exposure and celebrate responsibly.
If it matters to Missoula, it matters to us. Ryan Tootell and Colter Nuanez on 102.9 ESPN Radio.
Colter asked me if I'm in a good mood.
Are you in a good mood, Gus?
Man, I'm in a good mood.
What a beautiful day out there.
Great day.
It's so crazy that it's July 2nd and we have had like really only 1 week in the last 3 months of any sort of really hot weather.
Yeah, we had that 1 week in 90s or whatever. And how you think Flathead Lake's going to be a little chilly to dip in this?
We were talking about that. Yeah, we were talking about that. Might get hypothermia jumping in the lake.
My kids, man, that's all they want to do is jump in the lake.
Did they do it?
Oh, yeah. They've already been swimming.
Oh, they're good.
They went in June. And no, they weren't good.
Well, they were chattering afterwards.
Zoe, 5, lives to be in the water, wants to swim all the time. Got in the lake, fought it, and then just finally was just frozen and got out. And she was crying, not because she was cold, but because she was mad that it was cold. All I want to do is swim, and now I physically can't do it because it's cold. Dad, do something. You know, I should be flattered by the level of power that she believes me to have.
No question.
You know?
Kai can't swim, can he?
I don't think so.
He can float.
He can float. Oh, he goes out in his little deal, and he's with his life jacket on. He'll go solo. It's a nice thing about a lake, man. You don't have the tide. Have I told you this about me? Yeah.
What?
That I love lakes. Love them.
Yeah.
I hate the ocean.
Yeah, I do sort of too.
I can't stand sand. I don't like the salt. I realize there are lakes that are made of salt water too. Yes, okay, I do understand. I don't like the tides. I just, I like looking at them. I am inspired with awe when I stare out there into the infinite abyss and imagine just how many gallons, and probably that's not the right, unit of measure that we should use anymore to talk about how much water there is in the oceans. It's amazing. I just don't, it's not for me.
Yeah, I love swimming, but I have a hard time swimming because I'm so blind in my contacts. And
you're supposed to have your eyes shut.
Well, I understand, but like when you're swimming with your head above the water, like lake water getting in your eyes and river water getting in your eyes doesn't hurt. Chlorine getting in your eyes when you're in a pool or salt water getting in your eyes, it does hurt. And then it's underneath your contacts, and so I'm not a big ocean guy either.
Yeah, it's not for me. Now, snorkeling, I'm into that.
I got a sea urchin stuck in my hand.
I already told you my snorkeling story, right? I went snorkeling, and I'm a landlocker, man. I'm from Montana. I don't spend a lot of time looking at the treasures under the water. You have this amazing sensation of flight. It's the water's the right temperature. You're floating over, and I'm in the South Pacific. It's just amazing, right?
Yeah.
Watching these tropical fish and the coral and the whole thing, and the waves in the meantime are kind of doing in and out and so on and so forth. And I'm watching this fish go over here and this fish go over there, and one kind of go, and I'm kind of looking back a little bit, like back towards the way that I came. And all of a sudden I look down, and what I saw? Nothing. Right off the shelf.
Oh no! Where was this at?
It was in Vanuatu. It was just it was the infinite darkness of the black bottomless ocean.
See, deep water like that scares me.
Oh, bring on Michael Phelps. He had no shot against me that day. I was in hyperdrive back to land. I came up real quick and looked, and I was like, well, how did I get here? I'm 100, a long ways out. I have fins on, so I guess, it was okay. Sure. I wasn't in danger, I don't think. I mean, what do I know? I'm a dope. I'm probably the guy who gets sucked out and they got to send the chopper. Anyway, we didn't get to the NAIA stuff. Mike Person next.
After a long couple of months, it's finally feeling like we're getting back to business as usual. But it's not the usual at all. At Missoula's Wingate, we are, as always, committed to giving you a relaxing stay at a great value. But we're also balancing the new guidelines like maximum pool occupancies and increased disinfecting to protect your health with a never-ending pledge to make you feel at home when you're not. If you find yourself on the road in the Missoula area, please consider staying with us at Missoula's Wingate.
Summer is here, so get out of the house and play some golf at the picturesque Canyon River Golf Club. Canyon River boasts a pristine 18-hole championship golf course sitting along the Clark Fork River in the beautiful mountain valley of East Missoula. The course is meticulously manicured and in perfect shape to give you the challenge and fun you're looking for. Visit CanyonRiverGolfClub.com to book your tee time online and save big all season. You've been cooped up, so get out and play at Canyon River Golf Club.
There's a reason the Desperado has been voted best wings and sports bar in Missoula. Start with the wings. Despo wings are never frozen, which is why they're always big, juicy, and tender. And the burgers and steaks at the Despo? They purchase them each day from a butcher shop right here in town. And when it comes to drinks, the Despo has the coldest beer on tap and is always served in a frosty mug. All this, plus the NFL ticket every Sunday, Grizz games, and the friendliest staff in town. The Desperado Sports Tavern, across from the Y on Russell.
Now more than ever, we appreciate the value of relationships. Opportunity Bank has been serving Montanans and building strong relationships since 1922. With banking services for your family and your business, Opportunity Bank is with you as we move through these challenging times. For the latest information about how Opportunity Bank is working with customers and communities during the COVID-19 crisis, visit our website at opportunitybank.com. We are all in this together. Opportunity Bank of Montana, member FDIC.
We're all staying at home more than usual, and that means more dishes.
See the new line of GE dishwashers at Fred's Appliance 4th of July sale.
With features like a spacious third rack and fan assist drying, GE dishwashers will make your big loads of dishes shine.
Fred's has the best selection of dishwashers anywhere. See all the top brands and latest models with one stop at Fred's Appliance.
The 4th of July sale is one of the biggest sales of the year. If you're looking for a kitchen package or just one appliance, you don't want to miss this sale.
Many GE dishwashers are Wi-Fi enabled. Start and stop your dishwasher on the go.
Have bottles to wash? GE dishwashers have bottle jets to safely clean bottles for you and your family.
GE dishwashers quietly clean your dishes so you don't have to. Even go without scraping. Some GE dishwashers have the Piranha food disposal to eliminate food particles.
Fred's Appliance, 93 South, 5 minutes south of Brooks and Reserve.
Fred's 4th of July sale is going on now. Come in and see us today.
ESPN Radio for Western Montana, KKVU HD3 Stevensville, and 102.9 FM on K275BS Missoula. ESPN Missoula Sports Center.
Good afternoon, Ryan Tootell, Colton Nuanez. Here's some sports news for you. Ryan Kuhn of the Helena Independent Record reports that the NAIA had released guidelines and recommendations relating to the start of the 2020 fall sports season for the whole conference nationally. The document contains specifics about returning to play, health and safety recommendations, screening, testing, and spectators. A fall season can only happen if 50% of the participating NAIA institutions in each sport receive clearance from local authorities that it would be safe to play.
All coaches and players will be screened each day before practice and are also required to be screened within 6 hours of kickoff on game day. Those with a temperature of greater than 100.4 degrees, medical history relating to common coronavirus symptoms, or any self-reported illness will be required to sit out. Also, if multiple players on a team are showing symptoms, the school will make the decision whether the team should be removed from playing. NAIA practicing for fall sports set to begin on August 15th.
If 100.4 is the cutoff, you're never playing again. Sources are reporting the NFL will reduce the preseason schedule by 2 games this year. The league, which already canceled the Hall of Fame game originally scheduled for August 8th, will now have just 2 preseason games in total, 1 home game and 1 away game for each franchise. This edition of Sports Center is brought to you by Aaron Pagnano of Exit Realty in Missoula.
Now from the Kurtz Polaris studio, here is Ryan Tootell and Coulter Nuanez.
Now, I've been saying it's the weekend, this whole show, but now officially we're after 5 o'clock. I know a bunch of people are ditching out early. That's what Reserve Street looks like anyway. But congratulations, boys and girls. Happy 4th of July weekend to you. You made it. Thanks for hanging out with us. We're happy to be along with all of you. If you missed anything in the first hour, check it out on the podcast. The Tootell Nuanez podcast, available at all of your favorite podcasting outlets. You can rate, review, subscribe, and listen anytime you'd like. The podcast available thanks to Alpine Touch and Blackfoot. We also will be live, as we always are, on our website, 1029ESPN.com. You can go there and listen to the stream. The stream available whenever you would like it. Thanks to Opportunity Bank, your local bank, your opportunity. We go now to the Regish Brothers RV phone line, and we welcome in a former Montana State All-American and a 9-year veteran of the National Football League who just announced his retirement earlier this week. Friend of the show, Mike Person, back with us. Mike, thank you so much for coming back with us. We appreciate it very much. How are you? Happy 4th of July.
Yeah, happy 4th, guys. I appreciate the call, get me on, and it's good to be talking with you guys again.
Well, we're happy to have you back. We got a lot to talk about, a lot to get to, but first and foremost, it's the dang 4th of July. Now, I'm pumped up about the 4th and the whole weekend. Where are you at right now? What are you doing for this weekend?
So we're at our house out in Columbus, Ohio, just north of Columbus, but we're pretty pumped up. See the kids light off some fireworks. You know, they're still a little young, but they're excited. Trying to get them taught how we do it back home. But it's always a great time. 4th of July brings back so many memories for me.
What kind of memories? Like, what are we talking about? Growing up and doing just all the things that go into it, the grill and the fireworks, the whole nine, all that. What else?
Yeah. So I grew up in Glendive, obviously, but my mom, she was from Butte, and she was the oldest of eight kids. So we'd always go over to Butte for the 4th of July and Christmas. And
good fighting holidays in Butte. That's right.
Exactly. You can imagine what that's like with 8 aunts and uncles running around with 30 different cousins all over the place, lighting off fireworks, and it brings back some good memories of starting fires that we shouldn't have, but it was good stuff.
Mike A. Coulter Nuanez, thanks so much for joining us, and I can have a testament to that. You know, growing up with your cousins, the Lowney brothers, I spent many a 4th of Julys with those guys, and never lacking for action. Jack actually called me the other day and said, "Hey, haven't seen you in a while. You should come on out to the house." I actually already had plans to go up to Flathead, so I would have loved it because you're right, the Butte Lownies, they do it right. But now, take us through this last little while for you. I mean, first of all, congratulations on an awesome NFL career. I know I can speak for everybody around the state of Montana. Very proud for you to represent, the state and Montana State in general, and your hometown of Glendive, and of course Butte. I mean, all roads lead to Butte too. But take us through it. I mean, what was the decision process like for you, and what all went into your decision to walk away from the game?
It's just one of those things. The NFL has, football in general, it has a 100% retirement rate. And most guys don't get a choice in when they're saying that they're done. I feel like that I've had a pretty solid 9-year run. Obviously, I missed out on doing the one thing that most football players dream of doing, and that's winning the Super Bowl. But we got close. We were really close there at the end this year. But you have to listen to your body. You have to listen to your family, and it's time for me to spend more time and cherish the time with my wife and kids, our 3 kids that we have.
Mike, you mentioned the Super Bowl, and I know, obviously you get to that point and then it doesn't go the way you want it to go, and it's tough, man. It's just got to be just truly difficult to kind of get through that. But also, as you have a little bit of hindsight at this point, can you sit here and go, my gosh, I played in a Super Bowl. 1 billion people watched me play a football game. You have the whole lead up to it and everything that goes with it. I mean, that's amazing, right? I mean, that is simply an amazing thing to have done. And not just there. I mean, you played every offensive snap that San Francisco had in that game.
Yeah, it crosses my mind every so often, like, what a cool team and personal accomplishment that is. But it's one of those deals, everyone who's asked me what it's like to be in the Super Bowl, my go-to answer is, you get there, you're on top of the world, but when you lose in the fashion that we did, it makes you get down in the dumps pretty hard. I still don't know if I've legitimately come out of it, but that's just the nature of the game, and it's definitely a memory that I'll cherish for the rest of my life, and hopefully can pass on some of those memories to my boys and my daughter. And it's definitely a cool thing.
Mike Person joining us, former Montana State All-American offensive lineman, 9-year NFL veteran, recently retired from the NFL. And I mean, disappointment aside, Mike, what a special and phenomenal season for San Francisco. Just take us through it. I mean, what does it take for a team to come together? Because as we know, in the NFL, with the salary cap and the margin of error is so thin, most teams are not that different in terms of the talent they have on their roster. It's all about injuries, luck, and chemistry. How was San Francisco able to put it all together this last year and win the NFC Championship?
I'm sure if you asked Brock or Dane the same question, they would say the same thing, and it all starts in the locker room. It requires guys to come together as one team. I know it sounds corny, but these are guys from every single corner of the U.S. My example is the prime example, but you get guys from all walks of life, and it's the guys that you have to find that'll buy in, that aren't going to start their own little clique. And that's what I think was special about our team last year is, we'd be hanging out in the locker room. It wouldn't be just the old linemen over here or just the DBs, just linebackers over there. Weston Richburg, our center, and I, we'd go hang out with Richard Sherman once a week. Everybody made an effort to get to know everybody else on that team, and I think that's what can put teams over the top is when you have that trust in each other, like we did.
Mike, when you mentioned the disappointment from the Super Bowl, how much of that do you think for you personally stems from just the amount of work that you put in to make it in the league at all? I mean, everybody works hard that's in the NFL, no question, but Aaron Donald was never not playing in the NFL. You know what I mean? Whereas you had to take the long route, man, from the FCS to the practice squads to bouncing around, and then you finally get your starting spot, get the contract and the whole deal. I mean, you worked tirelessly to get to that spot, right?
Yeah, I definitely took the scenic route, as you'd say, but I saw all the peaks and valleys, that's for sure. Right. But, it definitely meant a lot because having been cut from 3 Super Bowl teams, finally to get there with the team that I originally started with, that was something special, And that's not to take away from any other guy in the NFL because who knows what their hardships that they've had to fight through there, not just their NFL career, but their entire life, But it was definitely special to get there, and it's a memory that I'm sure in a couple of years I'll look back with a lot of fondness.
Say it after your career, a ton of games played, 48 starts over the last 4 or 5 seasons. But like you said, it took a lot of perseverance to get to that point. I've told your story on this show several times, but tell the folks your story because you're sitting there, you're drafted by the San Francisco 49ers, you're bouncing around practice squads, moving all over the country, and you're running out of time. You only have a certain amount of time left. You can even be on the taxi squad for any NFL team, and then you get your big break. Tell people the story of just how you kind of rode it all the way down to the end before finally getting a chance and then making it happen over these last 5 or 6 years.
Yeah, I mean, I was one of the lucky few that had more than 2 teams take a chance on me. That's what it boils down to. There's a bunch of guys with a lot of talent that just kind of fall through the cracks because maybe they don't get it right away. They don't get it within their first couple of years. But I like to think that throughout my 9 years, I showed up to work and put my nose down and busted my tail. So sure, there was times where I questioned whether I would ever get that big break. It's not necessarily that I was just on the practice squad for 6 weeks, but I didn't dress for my first 3 years, even though I was on the active roster. But it's just the fact that you just have to keep coming to work every single day, and eventually that's going to pay off, even if you see other people passing you up, you just still have to believe in yourself and believe that it's going to pay off.
You were in the league for a while before you played in the league. What was it like the first time you stepped onto the field and you were going to take a live snap in the NFL?
Yeah, what year was it? It was. So, first week of my third season, I was the swing tackle, third tight end, and we had a big jumbo package. And I was with the Seahawks. We were down in Carolina. And, I'm pumped because first time I've dressed, excited to go. They finally called the package for me to go in. I go in as a tight end, going to run the ball towards me. I jump off sides. So I was pretty anxious, raring to go, but the first time you put those pads on and do warm-ups in the NFL, it's pretty special. It's the same thing with the first time. I remember the first time I put the pads on and we're walking across from the field house over to Bobcat Stadium. I can still smell the bratwursts. There's just things that stick with you in life, and the first time you put on pads in the NFL is one of those.
What's the craziest part about playing in the league?
The craziest part about playing in the league is going against Aaron Donald. No.
Well, that's like last year on Hard Knocks, right? The Raiders are the featured team, and Richie Incognito, who is absolutely one of the wildest and toughest dudes that has played in the last 20 years, they're having a little preseason practice scrimmage with the Rams, and he goes up to Gruden afterwards. He's like, man, I'm a Pro Bowler. I cannot block this dude. I cannot block 99. He's not a human. Is there anybody else that was super memorable, though, that you went against, or any other guys that were just like, man, this guy's just something different?
Yeah, there are. One of the most underrated guys in the NFL, in my opinion, is Grady Jarrett. He's plays for the Falcons. He was actually a rookie my first year in Atlanta, and he deserves every single penny that kid is going to get, in the near future, because he's darn near on the same level as Aaron Donald. He's a very talented player.
That's some big words now there, Mike.
He's good. You throw on that tape and watch him. He doesn't have the twitch that Aaron does, but he's every bit the player, man. He's an all-day sucker. Interior guys, I'm pretty partial to our guys that we had in San Francisco last year. DeForest, he's in Indianapolis now, but holy cow, man, he's a pain in the butt to block every day during training camp. I'll tell you that.
Well, that was the story J.P. Flynn told on this show. He said, I show up, I'm on the practice squad, and I realize the 49ers make you do pre-practice workouts on the practice squad, so I'm completely shot going to practice. I got no energy. And then DeForest Buckner sticks his hand all the way down my throat the very first play.
Yeah. It's not a good feeling because I have short arms. Eric would use a long arm and put their hand right in the middle of my chest, and I'm just swinging at air trying to get there.
Man, DeForest Buckner does have some limbs.
Yes,
that is a fact. Mike Person joining us, just retiring, announcing it earlier this week after 9 years in the NFL, most recently with the San Francisco 49ers. And Mike, we know, again, the path that you were on, how hard you had to work and the amount of focus then that it took, I'm sure, especially in season, it's all football all the time. You just got to be about it. But also, in this country, there is very little, perhaps nothing, that approaches the societal level that you are if you are an NFL football player. I mean, what that means when you walk around the community, people who know what's going on. What was the coolest thing that you remember? One of the things that you'll take with you from off the field that maybe you got to see, or what it might have been as a result of playing in the league.
I live a pretty low-key life. I just kind of hang out with the family, with the wife and kids. But I mean, one of the coolest things was last year the Sharks had us out for a playoff game, the entire offensive line. I'm sure you saw the clip of all of us drinking and me spiking a beer off of McGlinchey's face, but that was pretty fun.
That's the way to get the crowd amped up right there in San Jose, right?
I guess.
Now, do you like hockey? Is there a thing in the Bay? Some towns, Pittsburgh really notably, right, where all the sports teams are sort of, bootstrapping and rooting for each other. This happens a lot of places, but, was there a deal in the Bay Area? You go to the San Jose Sharks games, maybe Warriors games, something like that, where you say, everybody's trying to sort of root for their town, for their area?
Well, I know a few years ago they had a deal like Root for the Bay or something where all the teams tried to pull together. But I don't know where that's gone. But I know that the 49ers and Sharks have a pretty good relationship. They're only about 5 miles apart. One road trip this year that we had, the Sharks all gave the O-line jerseys, and we all wore those on our plane trip out. So that was a cool little gesture for us. And then I think some of the Sharks players got a bunch of the football jerseys, and they came out. And the big thing in San Francisco is ring the foghorn before the game. But I think teams just in general try and pull together when they're from the same area.
What's something about the NFL that maybe the common fan doesn't understand or that just doesn't know about?
We don't just play games; we actually have to practice.
That's the majority of what. That's what Favre says, right? They don't pay us to play; they pay us to practice.
Yeah, some days are for fun, man. They pay us to practice, but they paid me to practice, not anymore. But no, it's not just. I've ran across quite a few people who ask me what it's like, and they're kind of shocked by the hours that we actually have to put in. A lot of people think it's kind of a country club atmosphere where you just go and try and, just talk all day, maybe play a little football, and it's a blast. But it's I hate this word, but it's a grind. It's something that you have to be fully invested in because it'll chew you up and spit you out faster than you know. That sure your work day is from 8 to 5, but if you really want to commit yourself, you're there at 6 a.m. and you're leaving at 7, darn near every day. And if you're not mentally prepared, it's a shocker, like it was for me my first year with Harbaugh.
So this leads me to my next question then, and maybe it's a dumb question. Is being in the NFL fun?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, in the moment, it might not be. In the middle of training camp, it might suck, but, reflecting back, it was 9 of the most fun years that I've had in my life, my short life, but it has its moments. Obviously, it doesn't feel good when you get cut from a team and you don't know what your next move is, but on the flip side of that coin, when you get named the starter when you didn't expect to even make the team, that's pretty special.
Well, it beats the Cube Farm as middle management in some corporation, right? You're sitting out there with a headset on at a computer, right? I mean, it could get a lot worse.
No question.
You mentioned the element of the locker room, and I find the dynamic and the comparison between college football and pro football so interesting because so often in pro football, your rosters really are in flux. You might have some core guys that NFL teams are invested in, but so many of the guys are new or on their way out, and for it to come all together, a lot of times it just takes a special moment in time that maybe only lasts for maybe a year or two with that same group of guys getting along, whereas a college program, especially because the head coach has so much to do with it, he can build it. He can build this culture, and it can culminate like it did for you guys at Montana State when you broke through and won that first Big Sky title in 2010. Compare and contrast those two things because it seems like there's a special element of magic that goes into pro football teams finding that chemistry, but it seems like it's also such a joyous moment when it happens to you when you're a college kid.
Yeah, I mean, there's honestly not really any comparison between the two. College, those are some of my best friends that I'll have for the rest of my life. Not just in the locker room, but just in general. Whereas the NFL, your colleagues. You're buds, but who knows? Maybe 5 years down the road, you might not have talked to that guy in 4 years. But I think with an NFL locker room, it starts from the top in terms of players. You have your core group of players that they kind of decide how the environment is. So ours last year, we had Joe and Richard Sherman and DeForest, Eric Armstead. I'm blanking on some of my other teammates. It's bad, but they really fostered an environment that welcomed everybody. It doesn't matter if you've been on this team for 10 years or 10 hours. Everyone was going to welcome you in and try and get to know you, because at the end of the day, we have to trust you if you're going to be going on the field with us.
Well, Mike, I'll tell you what, we certainly appreciate once again your time with us. We wish you the best this weekend. Relax, enjoy with the family and all of that. You have certainly earned it. And again, to echo Coulter's sentiments, what a great career, and to represent the state of Montana, your university, your town the way you did. Remarkable stuff, and congratulations all the way around. Really proud of you, happy for you, and wish you the best. And we'll watch you as you go, all right?
I appreciate it, guys. Thank you so much.
You bet. Mike Person, former Montana State All-American, 9-year NFL veteran, retired just a couple of days ago. I mean, how does it get better? How does it get better than Mike Person, man? Just, I guess the coolest thing I did was I went to a Sharks game and spiked a beer off the mascot's head, because pretty much I lay low with the family. 9 years in the league.
He's always been the same, man. His senior year was my first year back in Montana, and he's always been the same guy, man. He's a good dude, comes from a good family. He ain't lying either. I'm telling you, when he said that they have 30 cousins, they do.
Yeah.
And like my buddies, the Loudies, they already all have 4 kids. There's 4 brothers. They all got 3 or 4 kids. They already got 16 cousins. None of them is even like 35 yet.
Keep it going. Just keep it going. Why not? That was fun. We appreciate Mike very much for doing that. Quick break on the other side. Who's coming next? Maybe a kid named Dylan Rollins. We'll use him as a case study. What's going on with Montana high school football? An examination next. Listen, I know you know 5 realtors, and I know your brother-in-law's cousin is a realtor, and your mom's best friend's daughter is a realtor. But can those realtors juggle knives? Can those realtors swallow fire? Can those realtors walk across hot coals? Well, neither can Aaron Pignano. But he can give you the best service and take good care of you when you're buying or selling your home. Whether you're a first-time buyer or have done this a few times, call Aaron Pignano at 406-241-0024. That's 406-241-0024. Or check out search406.com. Summer is here, so get out of the house and play some golf at the picturesque Canyon River Golf Club. Canyon River boasts a pristine 18-hole championship golf course sitting along the Clark Fork River in the beautiful mountain valley of East Missoula. The course is meticulously manicured and in perfect shape to give you the challenge and fun you're looking for. Visit CanyonRiverGolfClub.com to book your tee time online and save big all season. You've been cooped up, so get out and play at Canyon River Golf Club.
Chicks dig guys with big stereo systems, and that's why the big ballers make sure to let Aspen Sound do all the legwork. Don't be left out in the cold this summer, boys. Bring your rig into Aspen Sound for custom audio system installation. Music and sound quality are in this summer. Make sure you're ready to impress the ladies by getting a custom stereo system, window tinting, an automatic car starter, and so much more. Get your car insta-ready at Aspen Sound.
Yes, Polaris is open. The great outdoors are wide open, so why not make the most of it during the Polaris Summer Sales event? Take the family on a cross-country adventure with Polaris General, the world's most comfortable, most powerful sports utility machines. Kick up some dust in a Razor, the off-road's most thrilling performance side-by-sides. Grab the bars of a legendary Sportsman ATV and discover the freedom of unstoppable performance. Or get more done between your fence lines with Ranger, America's favorite off-road workhorse. There's never been a better time to say yes to outdoor adventure. Enjoy rebates up to $1,000 on the off-road's best during the Polaris Summer Sales event at Kurtz Polaris. Kurtz Polaris is at 2904 West Broadway in Missoula and Highway 83 in Sealy. Kurtz has all the best in off-roading with dirt bikes and side-by-sides, and now Kurtz has Crest pontoon boats in stock for the season. Summer is here at Kurtz Polaris, online at kurtzpolaris.com. Offers valid in U.S. on new 2016 through 2020 vehicles. Offer vary by model. See dealer for details. Always wear a helmet, never drink and ride.
There's a reason the Desperado has been voted best wings and sports bar in Missoula. Start with the wings. Despo wings are never frozen, which is why they're always big, juicy, and tender. And the burgers and steaks at the Despo? They purchase them each day from a butcher shop right here in town. And when it comes to drinks, the Despo has the coldest beer on tap and is always served in a frosty mug. All this plus the NFL ticket every Sunday, Grizz games, and the friendliest staff in town. The Desperado Sports Tavern, across from the Y on Russell.
ESPN Missoula Sports Center.
Good afternoon, Ryan Tootell. Colton Nuanez, here's some sports news for you. Ryan Kuhn of the Helena Independent Record is reporting that the NAIA has released guidelines and recommendations relating to the start of the 2020 fall sports season. The document contains specifics about the return to play, health and safety recommendations, screening, testing, and spectators. One of the caveats in that document is that the fall season can only happen if 50% of the participating NAIA institutions in each sport receive clearance from local authorities that it would be safe to play.
All coaches and players will be screened each day before kickoff and are also required to be screened within 6 hours of kickoff on game day. Those with a temperature of greater than 100.4 degrees or medical history relating to common coronavirus symptoms or any self-reported illnesses will be required to sit out. Also, if multiple players on a team are showing symptoms, the school will make the decision whether the team should be removed from playing. NAIA practice is slated to start August 15th.
Sources are reporting that the NFL will reduce the preseason schedule by 2 games this year. The league, which has already canceled the Hall of Fame game originally scheduled for August 8th, will now have just 2 preseason games in total, 1 home and 1 away for each franchise. They also may reduce the total number of participants in training camp from 90 to between 75 and 80. This edition of the ESPN Missoula Sports Center is brought to you by Aaron Pignano of Exit Realty Missoula. Reeling it in, boys and girls, running downhill to a long weekend. And I'm not saying this to rub it in. I just do want you to know, just for the record, Coulter and I are on vacation next week.
It's the most we've ever promoted anything in our lives. I mean, not Grizz Greats, not Tootell Nuanez podcast.
It's because I have this inordinate belief of the amount of love that people have for us and the disappointment that they will have if they turn on their radios Monday afternoon and we're not there, because we're not going to be there. And I want to save them the initial shock. It could be detrimental. We could cause a car accident or something. I don't want that to happen. Coulter, this was... You came to me earlier, you said, listen, man, let's talk about this. Dylan Rollins, Sentinel High School, Missoula Sentinel High School, offensive lineman. He has an offer from basically every FCS program in the country.
He's got a lot of offers. I think he's got officially 10 Division I offers.
He also, though, has he been offered or he's been welcome to visit or whatever from Nebraska?
He got offered a preferred walk-on from Nebraska the other day.
Preferred walk-on to Nebraska. So that is that's getting it done, particularly as an offensive lineman, to be taking a look down in Lincoln. You said, though, I think it's been 7 years since the last time a Montana kid went to an FBS program, any position, any program. I mean, That's remarkable to think about that. And we thought, why are some of the reasons of that? I know I got a couple of theories or thoughts on it. I know you do as well.
Yeah, and you take it one step further. Missoula, despite the unbelievable run of the University of Montana over a 25-year span in football, and the 2 national championships, 7 national championship game appearances, a record 12 straight Big Sky Conference titles, 17 playoff appearances in a row. There's no doubt Missoula's a football town, but that rise to prominence has overshadowed the fact that it's actually more of a basketball town. And when you talk about the guys that come out of Missoula, all of the big-time athletes that have come out of Missoula in the last 20 years have been basketball guys. Well, the guys that have gone top level, Big Sky or bigger, have been basketball guys. So you take it one step further. Not only has there not been a guy out of the state of Montana, period, that's gone FBS in 7 years, but in Missoula, I was actually talking to Dylan's dad, Josh Rollins. Josh played for the Montana State in the late 90s, a guy who works here in town, a business guy. And we were going through all the names. Who's the last big-time Missoula product in football? And we couldn't think of anybody that's gone bigger than the Grizz. Mm-hmm. That's pretty crazy when you think about it. And Dylan Rollins, he could check 2 boxes if he goes FBS, because he could end that streak for Montana players, and he also could really be the breakthrough guy of his generation, basically, when it comes to going FBS out of Missoula Sentinel.
To emphasize your point, I'm not just talking about Missoula now, but we talk all the time about why there's so many Division I, aka Big Sky level football players, but not basketball players. Mm-hmm. But like you said, you talk about Raleigh Wooster now going to Utah State. Trey Stinkle has obviously been at Oregon State. Josh Eustace played for the Dagnab Oklahoma City Thunder after going to Stanford.
Totally.
So the number of kids who have gone to play above the level of Big Sky Conference in the Power 5 and Mountain West has been basketball.
And Brock Osweiler, he could have played at Gonzaga.
That's right. And it kind of gets overlooked so maybe that's the guy, right? Brock Osweiler was the last Montana.
No, because he was my brother's class, so that's 2009.
So that's going back.
Matt Miller was in 2010. Okay. Tanner Roderick went to Nevada in 2011. But I'm trying to think of who the guy was. It would have been the 2012 season, but I don't know who it is.
But do you want to know what at least part of the answer to the question is to me?
What's that?
The Cats and the Grizz.
Yeah.
Like the Montana and Montana State do a great job of corralling the talent in the state. And there are definitely kids who could go play ball. But why would you want to, if you're from Great Falls, play at Wyoming or play in Bozeman or Missoula?
Yeah.
Probably you want, it may, I don't know, but probably it's a better experience for you, or at least higher on your radar to stay there than go to, a potentially mid-level, Mountain West school.
Yeah. Several factors here when it comes to the recruiting of Montana. First of all, I think that when Dennis Erickson was still a college head coach, that was a pipeline to get a few guys out of Montana. There were several guys that went to play for Coach Erickson when he was at Oregon State, when he was at Washington State, when he was at Arizona State. That's where Brock Osweiler got his in to go to Arizona State, was from Coach Erickson, because he has deep Montana ties. Jeff Choate being at Boise State. Jeff Choate was the one that talked Chris Peterson into coming and recruiting the state of Montana. So you had a guy like Tanyan Bissell from Bozeman that went to Boise State. A guy like Matt Miller. Will Disley. Jeff Choate had a big hand in recruiting Will Disley to Washington. So Choate now being in state, he can then, he knew that there was some hidden gems in Montana. Now he's getting them to stay in state. That's a factor. And I think that his name escapes me, but there was a guy who was a special teams coordinator / offensive line coach at Notre Dame. And people would think
Lou Holtz.
People would say that's crazy. There's no way. But there was the Ryan brothers out of Billings. They both went to Notre Dame in the late '90s. So there used to be guys with Montana connections. Sonny Lubick when he was the D coordinator at Miami, but then the head coach at Colorado State. Mick Delaney when he was at Colorado State. Those guys were recruiting to the Mountain West. And those connections now, they've all either come back to Montana or retired from the game. So I think that part has gone away a little bit.
I think that's a great point by you, because the flip side to Montana and Montana State doing a great job recruiting in state, which they do, is also football as such doesn't get recruited by teams that aren't from Montana in the state of Montana.
Totally.
So, I mean, this is essentially restating what you just said, but basketball, what do you have? AAU hoops, travel teams, going to Vegas tournaments, whatever it might be. There's exposure you get seen. And you can talk to me all day about huddle and video, and you can put that together. But you know what? Everyone can. And I don't care who you are. There's no coach in America that's looking at 40,000 high schoolers that are sending out their own thing or linking their own video. You know what I mean? It's just not happening. And so you look at as many as you can, but obviously you got to know where to go. And unless you have a connection to Montana, you are probably not going to the state of Montana to look at it. Now, the one thing I would say is, if you know that's true or if you think that might be true, why not? Like maybe you assume if a kid's good enough that exposure is ultimately going to be there and you're going to find him. But it seems to me like some Mountain West schools could make hay in the state of Montana by being the only Mountain West team recruiting actively the state of Montana and get a kid or two every year that nobody else is even looking at in your conference, you know?
Definitely. One thing that could have an impact on all this, too, is that, first of all, I think another thing that's had an impact on this is the erosion of the programs at some of the premier, what used to be some of the premier schools, particularly Great Falls CMR. I've said this many times on this show, but like when I was in high school, I mean, when you talk about late 80s through when I was in high school in the early 2000s, CMR had 3 or 4 FBS guys every single year. I mean, I remember when I was a sophomore in high school, they had 5 guys that were going FBS. That's not even a thing in Montana anymore. Part of it was because of the Air Force Base just having a lot more people living on it, and so you had a lot of out-of-state families that had then moved there, and their kids then were in high school, and part of it was just the tradition, the cultivation of talent, and part of it's just luck. I mean, you can say what you want about their personalities and their trials and tribulations personally, but like Ryan and Brady Leaf, when those guys just grow up in your town, that's just luck. I mean, you just got 2 6'6" guys that can throw the ball a country mile. I mean, they only come around every so often. It's just total luck. But I think the other thing that could be interesting moving forward is we're seeing the explosion of Bozeman. We're seeing the access that the Bozeman Airport has. Yosemite International Airport has way more direct flights than any other airport in the state by so much. At the same time, Bozeman High School is that program now. They are the one high school now that has 4 or 5 Division I kids every year. Granted, there hasn't been a guy that's gone FBS from there in a little while, but Kenneth Iden is getting a little bit of FBS interest right now. He was the AA Defensive Player of the Year last year as a junior. But that direct flight makes it a lot easier to come to Bozeman to recruit. The other thing is when you see some of the affluency that's happening, especially in Bozeman, but around the state too. There's some families that have moved to the state that have some money, or there's just families that just have a better element of resources. Camps is what gets you noticed. I mean, I've said this all along. I mean, Jesse Sims was a good player for the Grizz. He was a captain last year. But when Jesse Sims was in high school, he got the opportunity to go to a camp at Oregon State. He balled out at that camp. All of a sudden, he gets an Oregon State offer, a Nebraska offer. It was a great job by the Grizzlies to win him. They all wanted him to play tight end. He wanted to play defense. Okay, so, Montana, the hometown flavor. His sister's playing for the Lady Grizz. That wins out. But he could have gone bigger. But there's a lot of guys that I think that if they just weren't living in their own little Montana world, if Troy Anderson goes to a camp at the University of Washington, he's playing the Pac-12. Point blank period, it doesn't even matter. You're getting an offer. Yeah. And maybe he chooses Montana State anyways because he is that kind of kid. But Troy Anderson had no FBS offers because no FBS teams knew who he was. That's it. It has nothing to do with talent or evaluation.
Totally. It's Tootell and Nuanez, 102.9 ESPN Radio. One final break. We'll round out the week, head you into the 4th of July right after this.
Garden City Paint and Glass is ready to help you with your summer home improvement projects. Their trained staff can help you with your painting and staining projects, setting you up with the right colors and the right brushes, rollers and painting preparation, and they can even color match and custom tint. Garden City Paint and Glass sells only the highest quality paints and stains, so your project comes out right. Visit Garden City Paint and Glass for more information or give them a call at 549-0608. Garden City Paint and Glass, locally owned and serving Missoula for over 30 years.
The world of real estate is always evolving. That's more true now than ever. If you are a longtime Missoulian that is looking to upgrade or downsize, it might be the best time yet to sell. If you're in the position to buy something new, today might be the best time to buy. And no matter what questions you have when it comes to residential or commercial real estate, Mike Nugent and the professionals at Berkshire Hathaway in Missoula have your answers. To find out what Mike can do for you, give him a call today, 531-1802. And remember, every question is good to ask.
We've missed short drives to see friends, long drives to see family. We've missed road trips, car camping, heck, we've even missed commuting. We're grateful to be getting back on the road, and Les Schwab wants to help you drive safe, just like we always have. To help get you rolling again safely, we're happy to offer up to $110 off a set of 4 select tires. Les Schwab Tires. Doing the right thing matters. Limited time offer while supplies last. Actual discount amount depends on tire size and type. Cannot be combined with other offers. Details at leschwab.com.
Listen, I know you know 5 realtors, and I know your brother-in-law's cousin is a realtor, and your mom's best friend's daughter is a realtor. But can those realtors juggle knives? Can those realtors swallow fire? Can those realtors walk across hot coals? Well, neither can Aaron Pignano. But he can give you the best service and take good care of you when you're buying or selling your home. Whether you're a first-time buyer or have done this a few times, call Aaron Pignano at 406-241-0024. That's 406-241-0024. Or check out search406.com.
Dr. Hardy from NWPSA is here with me. Dr. Hardy, it seems like every day there is some new therapy or procedure for folks looking to improve their confidence and appearance. What is your process for choosing what you will offer your patients?
One of the most important things to remember about plastic surgery and skin therapies is that the latest isn't always the greatest. In our practice, we let science and safety speak, so we educate ourselves on every new technology and procedure, and only bring in what we feel can give safe and effective results to our patients.
Well, that's what it's all about. How does a patient go about choosing what is right for their needs?
Each patient will have an extensive consultation where we discuss their short and long-term goals. Patients can feel secure in knowing that we have the experience to guide them to the treatments that'll be the most effective in helping them reach these goals in a safe and confidential environment.
Contact Northwest Plastic Surgery Associates, nwpsa.com, or call 728-3811.
Tootell and Nuanez on 102.9 ESPN Radio for Missoula.
Makes my head hurt.
You're not old enough to talk about the old days, Coulter. I don't know that I am.
Ah, man.
It's Tootell and Nuanez, 102.9 ESPN Radio. I do remember before the internet. That will be the ultimate bisecting line of how old are you.
Okay, I got to tell a story real quick.
Hold on.
You do the thing. Do the thing.
The thing is this. We're not going to be around next week. So you need to get us, and here's how you're going to do it. You're going to go onto the World Wide Web, and you're going to listen to a Dagnab podcast. It's the Tootell and Nuanez podcast. It's available wherever you get podcasts.
And if you missed any of them, you should go catch up, because we've actually had some incredible interviews lately. I thought Travis DeCure's interview yesterday was awesome. Mike Person's interview from earlier today, excellent. So go catch up with all your Tootell and Nuanez while we're away next week.
Certainly go ahead and do that. Rate, review, subscribe. If you've never listened to a podcast, if you don't know how to do it, first of all, I commiserate with you, okay? This is not me saying, whatever, come along with it. I also am behind here on this thing, but I get it now, and I really like it, and you should too. You don't even have to have the internet. After you've gotten the podcast, you can go into the woods, into the bob, and have yourself a time, and you can still have us there to comfort you and protect you from the bears. The podcast, by the way, is available thanks to Blackfoot and Alpine Touch. Go ahead, Cole.
Two things. First of all, to put a bow on our last segment about Dylan Rollins, Missoula Sentinel offensive lineman, as well as just our analysis on FBS players coming out of the state of Montana. It was a great article by Frank Gogolo, who, by the way, I got to give those guys credit. I know that our format, people always ask us, what are you guys talking about? And we said, well, we're just the two best friends anybody ever had. So we just sit here and talk about everything. It's like a therapy session every day.
Yeah.
But I tell you this, I'm a writer too. I haven't written anything in a couple weeks, Sky on Sports. By the way, next week during my vacation, some of my vacation is going to be used writing. So check out SkyOnSportsMT.com. But shout out to the guys down the Missoula, Bill Speltz, Jordan Hansen, Frank Gogola. They've done a good job of keeping people informed and finding stories, even though there hasn't been a lot of stories to be found. But Frank wrote a great feature on Dylan Rollins. And I got to give you this little detail and then this outstanding offensive lineman quote. First of all, Dylan Rollins, 6'5.5", 285 pounds, is a 17-year-old. That's pretty nice.
And
lean, mean.
I mean, lean is what he is. It's stunning.
So here's how you do it. His daily routine, he eats a sandwich between each and every class period, except for during first period weight training and fifth period, because that's right after lunch. So he has lunch.
Okay.
And so sandwiches, though, the whole rest of the day.
By the way, if you're wondering, lunch is between the periods,
right.
So it still counts.
And he tries to eat from the minute he wakes up to the minute he goes to bed, and that's how you get up to 285.
Him and Bryson DeChambeau.
That's right. But this is a quote from Rollins in Frank's article. He said, "A lot of my teachers make jokes about it because I'm always just eating. I have to make sure I'm eating good food, though, because if all I'm eating is chocolate muffins and chips, I'm going to look like a chocolate muffin. I'm going to play like a chocolate muffin, and that ain't any good for anybody." Offensive line quote. I love it.
That's right. You got to stay away from the chocolate muffins. I don't know when it occurred to me. I don't know that it has occurred to me, but the chocolate chip muffins are just so egregiously good.
They are.
And yet, somehow in my mind, I'm like, well, it's healthy. It's a muffin. It's not cake.
It is.
It is cake.
It is cake.
With chocolate in it.
Here's my story about back in the day. So the other night I was perusing on the ESPN Plus app, which I would highly recommend for anybody that's a sports fan. All sorts of great content on there. But they have uncovered and released the first 10 UFCs.
Okay.
So people that follow the UFC,
the
Ultimate Fighting Championship.
Yeah.
People that follow the UFC now, the UFC now is basically an Ultimate Fighting League, and there's a UFC fight about once every 3 weeks. There's usually between.
Yeah, we're up to 250 of these.
Yeah, I mean, there's between 15 and 20 of them a year.
Yep.
And I mean, it's a heavily sanctioned thing. It happens all over the world. Most guys that participate in MMA are truly mixed martial art guys. They have a probably a baseline background in something, but they've trained in multiple different disciplines. And the rules, while some people, including yourself, think it's still brutal, and the rules have gotten a lot more strict.
Well, there are rules.
There are rules. So the first 10 UFCs, the first UFC 1, there's no rules. There's no rules. There's no rounds. There's no timing on the match.
There's no weight classes.
There's no
right?
weight classes.
Yep.
There's nothing. Everything is allowed. A kick to the groin is allowed. A gouge to the eye is allowed. An elbow to the head while you're down. A knee to the ear. It's allowed. We're watching this the other night. I couldn't believe it. I could not believe what I was watching. The very first match is the I can't remember his name, but he was the world champion in kickboxing against the world champion in sumo wrestling. The sumo charges the kickboxer. The kickboxer backsteps him and two-step side kicks him in the face, knocks out all his teeth. I mean, it was horrific. Guys now know how to defend themselves at least. You might get kicked in the head, but it's through a guard or something.
The sumo guy, he just thinks he's got a big man him.
And just done. I mean, he is done. But, I mean, what a crazy thing. But your comment about the internet reminded me, because then you get to UFC 2, and that's when the internet has just now come out. So they're like pumping up the archiving of the video somehow on this archaic dial-up. I can't even remember what the distributor was called, but we were just laughing so hard. Like, man, this was only 26 years ago, and the internet is not a thing in the world at this moment.
Bro, do you know what I did in college? I researched in books. I had to go to the library and look up things on the Dewey Decimal. Now, they had started to archive the Dewey Decimal on computers, so you could look that up at least without the paper catalog. But I had to go pull down dusty volumes that had not been opened in who knows how long, perhaps ever, because I did a bunch of archaic things myself while I was in college, and page through and find things. You know what you do now?
Google.
Okay, Google. You know what my daughter does? She says, Dad, can I ask Siri a question? That's what she says to me
that's good.
a couple times
That's
a
good.
day.
Good. The other craziest part about...
I'm not done.
Okay, sorry. Punchline.
I give in once in every 10 times, but it's the same question. Siri, show me videos of slime. Wants to see how to make slime. You know what comes up? 1,000 videos of how to make slime. Like, not even just one. I mean, how many people have made videos of how to make slime in the world? Thousands of hours have been spent doing this, committing it to video and uploading it to the internet. It's a mind-boggling. Okay, go ahead.
The last craziest part about this, is that now it's bouts, like championship bouts, and you fight your one bout. It's been on the schedule, and then you fight it, and maybe it's for a title or maybe it's for a contender spot. That's all. The first 10 of these, though, it's a tournament, and so it's an 8-man tournament, but you have to fight to win it 3 times in a row. In the same day, in the same evening. We were sitting there debating, is this in real time? Because if it is, the thing only lasted an hour and 45 minutes. If you had to fight 3 fights that are between 10 and 12 minutes long each with no round stoppages, I just can't even, my mind was blown. I couldn't even believe that this was a thing. And I am a big time fan of fighting and mixed martial arts. I can totally see why that was so controversial, because it is so beyond brutal. I couldn't even. I mean, it's when you're watching, you're like, I'm watching something that's illegal.
Yes, that's right. That's how it feels. Something that is illegal, like you shouldn't. Yeah. Well, and now it might be. Okay, very good.
The way that the Gracie boys though changed the game, man. Because like that first one, Royce Gracie, he wins it. I mean, he is 5'9", 150 pounds. He's got no athletic prowess whatsoever.
Brazilian, right?
Yeah. But you see Ken Shamrock in his prime. This is when Ken Shamrock is the K1 world champion. I mean, he is a worldwide phenomenon. He's gone to Japan and Korea as the first American to go dominate like the kickboxing ranks. And he is Jack City. And Royce Gracie just climbs on him like a spider monkey and just chokes him out.
Yep. It's he's pretty good at it. Coulter, any recommendations for the weekend for the people before we go?
Wear sunscreen, drink water, be safe. If you go have fun, do it in small groups and wear your dang mask.
Excellent job. On the spot, you ticked almost every box right there. I'm going to limit myself to 10 minutes of direct sunlight on the torso area, and then we're going shirt back on because it almost never fails.
I know. I'm really self-conscious about my golf tan. I got.
No. I'm not. Here's the fun thing: is if you can get a little burn going on your back and you got your white stomach and your arms, you look like a Neapolitan ice cream cone.
Just what I want.
Boys and girls, happy 4th of July. Stay safe, be well. We are on vacation next week. We'll see you the following Monday, ESPN Radio.